LaRae, I think literally everyone has been the victim of an attempted scam. Hopefully only an attempted scam. Like we've all gotten a text needing to confirm our banking information or a sketchy email about cashing a check or a business proposal, or a phone call about our car's extended warranty. In fact, one of our employees consistently gets text messages from me telling her that she needs to go buy me Apple gift cards. And she'll text me and she'll be like, "This you?" And I'm like, "Absolutely not. It is not me. Don't respond to that person." But like oftentimes it's not like well-known big flashy scams that get us. And like for our purposes today, it's not those that get our practices in trouble. It's tiny things that are harder to notice. Something you might even think is standard, like listing the wrong treating dentist on a claim form.
Yeah. Another thing is assuming it's okay to code something because it is a covered benefit and not because it's the treatment you actually provided, because you think you're helping the patient by using their benefits, right? So it's amazing how fast an innocent looking shortcut can cross the line into fraud, which really makes you wonder, are dental teams committing fraud without even realizing it?
Yes. Today, we are pulling back the curtain on 4 of the most common billing mistakes that can get your practice audited or worse.
Yeah. Welcome to the Truth Decay podcast, talking dollars and cents with Sara Baker and LaRae McMullen.
Okay, so let's start with the big one. This one we have talked about on the show multiple times. Hopefully it's coming across that this is like big and serious and common as many times as we've talked about it. So mistake number 1, listing the wrong treating dentist. So we have talked about this again in past episodes. Offices might do this when an uncredentialed or uncontracted associate starts and sees patients, or it's sometimes done when a new dentist purchases a practice and isn't quite contracted yet. Maybe they haven't decided to, they just bought the practice, right? And it's kind of that transition period. It sounds like, or maybe they're even told that they're helping the patients, right? The patients, you don't want the patient to all of a sudden go to an out-of-network doctor, right? It's for the patient. Yeah. Or it's just making it simple. It's just making it more simple, more streamlined. To the letter of the law, it's fraud, right? Claims are processed with in-network benefits because the wrong doctor, an incorrect doctor, is being represented on the claim as the rendering provider who is not the doctor that rendered the treatment. And the dentist is receiving money that they are not entitled to.
Exactly. A lot of times it comes down to financial pressure or just wanting to make sure that that patient gets the most out of their benefits, right? But from the insurance side, it's a really big deal. They see it as misrepresenting who did the work. Like you can't say that I did it if Sara actually did it, right? So it's by them, it's misrepresenting that who did the work. You have to show the provider who actually did the treatment on that claim.
And so, like, even if no one complains and it's discovered in an audit that the patient portion somehow doesn't match, or like they, for whatever reason, you are called to disclose clinical notes, and those clinical notes are not signed by the doctor that's on the claim. Like, It could be a huge contractual issue. Like you're dragging all sorts of doctors and providers and people into it, right? So like basically the doctor that did the treatment and the doctor that signed the clinical notes needs to be listed as the rendering doctor on the claim. Period. Point blank. End of story. There you go.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so mistake number 2 would be not disclosing accident-related treatment. This one isn't really thought of all that much, but here's a scenario, right? A patient falls in the break room at work and breaks a front tooth.
So you might not know this, but if you don't submit dental claims for a living like we do, the claim form actually has to state whether it's an accident or not.
Yeah.
And if it's related to work, a car accident, or something else. So otherwise, the insurance company assumes that it's just like routine treatment and like the tooth was just broken due to like, whatever.
In fact, if it is accident related, dental insurance might not even be that primary payer. Auto insurance or workers' comp, they could be responsible for your dental insurance.
Yeah, but this is important for you to know. Most dental software leaves that field blank by default. So someone in your office has to manually update it and tell the claim that it is accident related.
And this is very, very important because if it isn't disclosed, it could be considered a fraudulent claim because it misrepresents liability. So the patient's standard dental insurance might not be primary. Like I said before, it might need to be billed to medical insurance first or even a different workers' comp insurance.
Yeah, and this doesn't happen all that crazy often. And honestly, like there are offices that kind of commonly take these sort of cases, I think, at least in our experience.
Yeah, they might use it a little more often.
So it doesn't happen. This doesn't actually happen all that often at all. But if you do happen to have somebody that comes into your office that, had an accident at work or an auto accident, and they disclose that to you, you should probably be asking. But, if they just tell you when you're taking the history, then you should definitely be documenting that and it should be disclosed on the claim form.
Yeah, for sure. I think usually when somebody goes in with something that looks like it might have been an accident, that usually someone would say like, oh,
Totally.
how did this happen?
Totally. Yeah. So mistake number 3, lack of education and training. So this is a wide topic, but it's kind of a common theme with practices who swear that they are doing everything right. It's more of a lack of evolving education and training, I guess, might be more accurate. So let's look into another kind of like real example of how a lack of training can lead to fraud, even if no one meant to do anything wrong.
Yeah. So here's the example. A new front office team member is tasked with submitting insurance claims. She's only been trained to click through the billing software and not really how to interpret those procedure codes.
So one day she gets a claim for a patient who had a periodontal maintenance appointment, a 4910. And the hygienist documented it thoroughly. Clinical notes state clearly that this was perio maintenance. But instead of using the perio maintenance code, the front team member posts 1110, the code for a routine prophylaxis.
Why though? Well, it could be a number of reasons. Maybe because the software posted it at the recall appointment as the default scheduled preventative code, and no one showed her how to confirm whether that was correct or not, right, at the time of appointment. Or maybe because it was what the benefits had shown as being covered, and that was what she thought she was supposed to do.
Yeah, so the claim goes through, that 1110 gets paid, everybody moves on. Until an issue later brings up that the treatment wasn't a prophy. It was periodontal therapy, right? Because like a common one is maybe there needs to be history of periodontal therapy, right? Periodontal treatment. So maybe the patient asks or they get an inquiry that says you have to demonstrate perio maintenance and we only have a history of prophies. Maybe the insurance carrier does an audit and the posting and the clinical notes don't match. So the insurance company can absolutely decide that that's a misrepresentation.
Even though that error was hopefully unintentional, it's still fraud. The practice has to refund the money, gets flagged for more audits, and if there is a contract, it's possibly in danger.
Honestly, like the example we're using here is kind of being very kind in terms of like, oh, this is just a total mistake. More often than not, what we see is it's not really a mistake. It's when the perio maintenance isn't covered. And so they decide we're going to bill for a pro fee, right?
Yeah,
Because
trying to get something.
the pro fee is covered. And so they bill for the pro fee. And so I can understand the inclination to do that. The problem is you didn't do a pro fee. You did a perio maintenance, and your clinical notes say that you did a perio maintenance. So if the insurance company doesn't cover perio maintenance at $49.10, then the patient needs to be responsible for that. And like the issue would be at the point that the patient is being talked to about the treatment that they need, what their, perio issues are, why they need a $49.10 versus a pro fee at, whether they're going back and forth between those or whether they're getting a perio maintenance every single time or whatever. We'll go back to something that we say frequently on this show, which is patients are willing to pay for treatment that they need, right? It's not that dentistry costs money or that it's going to be out of pocket. It's when it's a surprise. So you have to give patients the information that they need so that they can make an informed decision about their treatment. I would not encourage you to get creative and simply utilize benefits because they're there, right? Like you need to code for what you did, whether or not it is going to get paid by the insurance company, right?
Yeah. So this is exactly why every team member needs formal training. It's not just a software walkthrough, but also a clarification of the practice owner's commitment to accurate posting, ethical billing, etc. These values need to be understood from the top down. And what Sara just kind of talked about is what we are using as our mistake number 4, which is down coding and up coding. So Sara just kind of talked about down coding in her example. They did a $49.10 and it wasn't covered, so they went ahead and coded for the pro fee. Up coding is the opposite, right? So reporting a more expensive service, like billing a surgical extraction when it was actually a routine extraction, because maybe that a 7120 is covered at a higher fee.
Yeah, and both of these are fraud. So even if you feel like you're again, at best, like helping the patient. But I mean, honestly, even if you feel like you're helping yourself too, right? If you look and you see that a simple extraction is X amount and a surgical extraction is X amount, and it's probably a little bit higher, right? And you think to yourself, I can kind of creatively say,
just a little?
Yeah, I can creatively say that I did a surgical extraction. Well, definitions matter, right? I mean, like, did you do a simple extraction or did you do a surgical extraction?
Yeah.
Code for what you did. It's very simple. Let's not complicate this, right? Do the treatment the patient needs, document what you did, code for what you did, and bill it.
Yep.
It's actually very simple, right? And like, when you start to make that not simple, when you start to upcode and downcode, now it's getting complicated and we can't keep it straight. And we can't, we're starting to get into territory where like you are actually, I would argue, losing money because you're having to expend extra brain power and resources to keep stuff straight when really, honestly, you should be concentrating in office on patient experience, on production, on making sure your team is clear about what your values are and, how your daily processes are going in office. You should have a solution for billing and collections and admin stuff. And everybody should just be doing the right thing, right? It's just easier to keep the truth straight. So do that,
Code what you bill for what you did, and also chart note what you actually did. Right?
Absolutely.
So that everything matches. It's super, super simple. It's so easy. Yeah. Just code for what you did, note for what you did. So if you don't do that, you're going to risk repayment demands, penalties, even possibly losing participation in any of your in-network, insurance carriers.
Yeah. So just
plans that you have. Yeah.
So what do they say? Keep it simple, stupid. Like, just keep it simple.
I like that.
Real talk. Like, just, so how do you keep it simple? How do you protect yourself? Right.
Yeah.
I would say, number one, start with regular internal claim audits. Like I'm not kidding. I would encourage anyone, any doctor, to pull a sample of claims and verify treating provider, accident fields, codes, check those against clinical notes. Do that on a regular basis. Like, do that. You need to know what is being posted in your office. Not honestly, not just that at the beginning part of the process, but I would honestly encourage you to look at the adjustments that are being made in your office as well. Run an adjustment day sheet for the whole month. Take a look at it. I hope your jaw doesn't drop, right? I hope that everything's looking good. But one thing I would warn you about is that someone might be coding wacky adjustments as insurance adjustments, and you would not be able to recognize that. You wouldn't. Yeah. So not to scare anybody, but like, I'm just saying that it goes a long way, I think, for your team to know that you are involved and that you are looking and that they need to be accountable to you. And it doesn't have to be scary and it doesn't have to be bad, but like, ask questions, run regular internal audits.
Yeah, we also recommend, like Sarah was just talking about a little bit, regular conversations and billing training for every team member who even touches claims. They need to understand what your philosophy is on ethical and clean billing. And personally, we highly recommend that it matches the ADA's code of professional conduct.
Yeah. And I mean, like, shameless plug, you might want to consider using a billing compliance consultant or a third-party billing company. Like, real talk, it doesn't have to be us. It could be us, but it doesn't have to be us. But like,
it should be us.
But like, real talk, someone or a group of someone's who can spot patterns that you might miss and advise you of a better way you can handle it in the first place, right? Like, we have gone to doctors before and said to them, this looks weird. Like, this thing that we're seeing looks weird. Like, we don't know why this is happening on a consistent basis. Did you know that your staff was doing this? Sometimes it is simply a miscommunication. Sometimes the staff is doing something and they just don't know that it's like not okay, or maybe it's left over from somebody who left and they're like, oh wow, that's how this person did it. I didn't know that that's not how it's supposed to be done. Sometimes it's a person who is pocketing cash and you bring it up to the doctor and then all of a sudden they don't show up for work the next day, right? Yeah. Not that happened. But like, so I'm just saying that it's a really good idea to have another set of eyes, whether or not it's a third party or your own eyes on your system, understanding what is happening, being in it. If not every step of the way, I'm not encouraging you to micromanage, but I'm encouraging you to be involved and ask questions and be a presence.
So here's a simple summary then. Confirm the treating provider, disclose accidents, double check those codes, and document everything. If there's one takeaway, it's this: good intentions won't save you from the consequences of a fraudulent claim. If any of these mistakes are happening in your office, perhaps even without your knowledge, it's still it's not going to save you.
No, it's not. And like, what we're talking about right now, of course, is not all inclusive in terms of all of the things that, you know, like, we're not saying that if you do all of these things, you will be bulletproof, but we are saying that, like, these are some good areas to look in to get you to start asking some questions, start some conversations, make sure that people are making good decisions, right, on your behalf, because you, yes, you, as the owner, need to know exactly what's in every claim and why it's there, right? Like, one of my favorite phrases is trust but verify. It's one of my favorite phrases.
And you have to train your team to understand that too.
Yes.
All right, Sarah, so what are the top takeaways for today?
So in terms of, how to try to avoid some fraud, some of our suggestions are, number one, always list the actual treating dentist on the claim as the rendering provider.
Yep.
No exceptions.
Number two, disclose any accident-related treatment accurately every time.
Number three, don't assume that you or your staff know the coding rules. Keep checking, keep clarifying, and keep learning.
Yeah. And number four, code for exactly what you did. Keep it simple, stupid. KISS.
Keep it simple, stupid.
No more, no less.
That's right. So, LaRae, what are 2 action steps that our listeners can take today?
So first, you could go in and you can audit maybe like 10 random claims. Do it this week. Spot check treating providers, accident fields, and coding.
And second, schedule a team training session or a refresher on billing compliance before the end of the month. It's, like whatever month you're listening to this in, like if there's still some time left before the end of the month, take your team to lunch. You should be doing that on a regular basis, like connecting with your team, right? Or bonus, research an expert billing company that can take care of like all of that for you. I'm like, it's just so nice. Whew.
All right. So what are our final thoughts today then?
So these mistakes like that we're listing, they aren't just theoretical. They're not just silly. We're being a bit silly billies today, honestly, but, these happen every day, like in practices, like really for reals every day. And the consequences are real.
But the good news is, with the right training and getting yourself into some really good systems, you can protect your practice and your license.
Yeah. So to help you get started, we have created a free guide, which is Fraud by Accident: 4 Costly Mistakes That Can Get Your Practice into Trouble. And it just kind of breaks down everything we talked about today. And again, some questions that you can ask, right? Questions that you can ask, some places that you can get started, conversation starters, that sort of thing. And please go to our website, thetruthDecayPodcast.com, check out this episode, and that should be available for you to download.
Yeah, you can download it right now. So again, check the link in the show notes or visit us on that website to grab your copy.
Yep. So thank you guys. If you like what you heard today, please consider subscribing on whatever platform you're listening to us on. You can send us an email at hello@thetruthDecayPodcast.com, or you can check us out at sddentalsolutions.com. We would love to answer your questions. We would love to talk to you. We would love to hear about a check that we need to cash because my aunt died and I need to go to the bank and cash it. And I totally will. If it's like 30 grand, just send it to me. It sounds legit and I'll do it. So just,
Sounds totally legit.
Yeah, I'll do it. Don't worry about it.
All right. You can also find us on LinkedIn, both Sara, myself, and SD Dental Solutions. And you can find us on Instagram and also on Facebook. So if you're into the socials, come and find us.
Come and find us. Thank you guys so much. And we will see you in the next episode.
Bye.
Bye. And they did have a hold on, Matt's coming in. Hold on. He's coming in. I'm currently recording my podcast.
So get the out.
Did you just... Hi. Okay, bye. I'm going to cut it. Oh, you're going to get cut.